It is July 9th. We are approaching the worst day in sports, which is the day after the MLB All-Star Game, because there are no sports on. So if you are ready for Titans football and you are starving for training camp and preseason content, type me down in the comment section. I just want to get a head count of how many people are ready for Titans football to come back. Welcome in to Titans Today by Chat Sports. Today's video is all about DeAndre Hopkins because good old Dov put out an update for everyone when he tweeted out the Titans have made wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins a more aggressive offer than the Patriots, per Mike Reiss, the ESPN beat reporter for New England. So let's break down the latest on Hopkins as we continue to get very subtle twists and turns to the story in the middle of the offseason where Titans fans or Patriots fans are honestly just happy to have something to talk about because all other teams, they've got nothing going on. But these two teams are still in the mix for an all-pro receiver like Hopkins. And this is what Mike Reiss from ESPN wrote. The Tennessee Titans and Patriots have made offers. The Titans have been more aggressive to this point, and Hopkins hasn't been in a rush to sign. One reason for Hopkins to wait a bit longer is to leave open the possibility of another team entering the mix, potentially increasing his market. If DeAndre Hopkins only cared about money, he would have signed with the Tennessee Titans or the New England Patriots. Sounds like Tennessee has made a bigger offer, but clearly he's waiting for either a bigger contender to roll around, and I think both Tennessee and New England can flirt with the big dogs this upcoming season, right? They can both be some under-the-radar teams to surprise people. For starters, it's Bill Belichick. You should really never rule out Bill Belichick. And as for Tennessee, if Ryan Tannehill does not go down last year, how different that season could have ended. They win one of those last 7 games. They're in the postseason, and anything could happen at that point. But if Hopkins truly only cared about money, he would have signed at this point. So at this stage now, I'm inclined to believe he is holding out not because he wants to get more money, but maybe because he wants to get an offer from a contending team. The Titans, without a doubt, could use the services of DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not here to really convince anyone of that at this point. This wide receiver room sort of speaks for itself. I think Treylon Burks will have a good second season. I'm maybe not as high on him as other people are because if your reasoning for him to have a breakout year is, well, we just really need him to have a breakout year because there's no one else in this wide receiver room, to me that doesn't really signal a good argument because last year didn't bring a ton of optimism that he could be a 1,000-yard receiver this upcoming season. Hopkins, we know, has been a 1,000-yard receiver more than once in his career. Back in Houston with Deshaun Watson, the two were prolific. His first season down in the desert, 1,400 yards and 6 touchdowns with Kyler Murray. He's missed time over the last 2 years, but Hopkins himself has said he's not retiring until he feels he is no longer a 1,000-yard receiver. So if you're adding a 1,000-yard receiver in July, that's a very good addition at this point in the offseason. To me, it seems like DeAndre Hopkins is holding out for one of those big fish teams to come in and swoop in. Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like the Bills and the Chiefs are kind of in a cold war where neither team really feels like they need DeAndre Hopkins, but neither team wants the other team to get DeAndre Hopkins. So maybe they're kind of in a little bit of a standoff, and the first one to blink signs Hopkins just so the other team can't sign him. There hasn't been a lot of buzz coming out from either side that they are interested in Hopkins, but we know how the NFL offseason can work. There's times where there's smoke screens and, signs pointing to one direction, and there's times where teams come out of absolutely nowhere and pull off a blockbuster deal that no one saw coming. So I think right now Hopkins is waiting for a team like Kansas City or Buffalo, right? One of those higher echelon teams that are closer to winning a Super Bowl, let's just be honest, than the Titans or Patriots. And if he gets the same amount of money from the Chiefs than he did from the Titans or the Patriots, it would just make too much sense to go to Kansas City. Now, where do you guys think? Where will Hopkins sign? Will it be Tennessee? Will it be New England? Will it be a mystery team, Team X? Let me know in the comment section below where you ultimately think Hopkins will end up signing because he's getting signed. That I have no doubts about. For me, it really comes down to one of these two teams because, sure, Buffalo or Kansas City would make a lot of sense for Hopkins, but neither of those teams have really shown to be uberly aggressive at this point. So if he does not get a call from the Chiefs or from the Bills, and he is left with the two teams that have met with him and the two teams that have made him offers, which one of these two teams makes the most sense for DeAndre Hopkins? Because it's important to view this from the mindset of D-Hop, where he's likely signing a one-year deal, and he needs to go somewhere where he can play his best football so that when he's a free agent next year, he can get a lot of money in free agency and show that he is still valuable. If he goes somewhere this year and it doesn't go well, he's not going to have a big market next offseason. So let's start with the Tennessee Titans and why it makes sense for Hopkins to go to the city of Nashville. First thing is this. You got a good chance to win the AFC South, right? Anytime the Jags are the favorites to win the division, you know that things are pretty up in the air. Meanwhile, in the AFC East, it'll be hard to get past the Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets, and the Miami Dolphins. In the AFC South, you just got to get past one team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, because it's not going to be the Colts and it's not going to be the Texans winning the division. Reason number two, you get to be the number one wide receiver. If you're DeAndre Hopkins, you want to have the best statistical season you've had in the last 3 or 4 years so that you can get a lot of money in free agency. And if your competition to get the most amount of targets is Treylon Burks and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine and Kyle Phillips, you're going to win that battle. You're going to get more targets, more receptions, more yards, and thus more touchdowns. And then you get to cash in and get more money in free agency. Reason number three, you have an experienced quarterback. If you want to get targets, or more importantly, receptions off of those targets, you need a good quarterback. And Ryan Tannehill for 2023, in my opinion, is better than Mac Jones. Long term, that's a different conversation. But DeAndre Hopkins isn't looking long term, right? He's likely looking at just this upcoming season. And I think Tannehill is a better quarterback for this upcoming season than Mac Jones is. Now, I also think the Tennessee Titans t-shirt and hat combo deal is undefeated. If you have not gotten your hands on this puppy yet, make sure you do so. Chatsports.com/10combo. The link's in the comments and the description of today's video. You don't just get a Titans hat or a Titans t-shirt. You get both, and they're on sale. You're losing money if you don't get this deal. Get it today. Reason number four is Derrick Henry can shoulder the load, right? Derrick Henry is an awesome running back, and having him on your team will make things a lot easier offensively. I think there is a fallacy or a misconception of you don't want to go to Tennessee. They're going to run the ball a lot with Derrick Henry. The Titans don't finish 1 or 2 every single season in carries and bottom 1 or 2 in pass attempts. It's just that Derrick Henry gets all of the carries. They don't split it across other running backs very much. So you're going to have a good, well-powered offense that's going to stay on the field and get you into the red zone because of Derrick Henry, and then Hopkins can get an extra touchdown or 2. The Titans have a lot to offer. Are they a top 3 team in the AFC right now? Probably not. But if no other team from the AFC comes a call-in, the Titans could make a lot of sense for DeAndre Hopkins for the reasons we just outlined. Now, before we talk about the other side of the coin, make sure you are subscribed so that when breaking news or rumors or anything comes out, you are not in the dark. Hit that sub button down below and get yourself the best free Titans YouTube content available. Now, why the New England Patriots? They have this guy you might have heard of, Bill Belichick. To play for Belichick sounds like an incredible thing for any player. You get to learn a lot, and you get to have a pretty good chance of winning a Super Bowl. Now, those Super Bowl days are kind of behind Bill Belichick. I never quite want to rule him out, but Hopkins and Belichick, they share some mutual respect. They have talked about one another before. Belichick does not really talk about anything ever to the media. So when he does say your name, that definitely carries a lot of weight. So it's hard not to be attracted to the idea of playing for the best coach in NFL history, Bill Belichick. The number 2 reason, just like in Tennessee, you get to be the clear-cut wide receiver 1. Now, it's a little bit more competitive in New England with Juju Smith-Schuster and Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne and Tyquan Thornton. I mean, head-to-head, the New England Patriots probably have a better wide receiver room than Tennessee without Hopkins. But still, if Hopkins joins this team, he's better than Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, he's going to be the number one wide receiver in command of the most targets and everything. The third reason, it's a great culture. I mean, you can't knock it. The Patriots have the Patriot way. It's produced win after win after win. It's kind of gone away a little bit, at least the wins have over the last couple of years. And it's not that the Tennessee Titans have a bad culture or anything like that, but if you were building a perfect franchise and you wanted to pick a culture from a locker room, hard not to pick the New England Patriots. My fourth and final reason why the Patriots could make some sense here is the Patriots have the most money to offer. They do have more cap space available than the Tennessee Titans. Now, we know that cap space does not always equate to amount of dollars you can offer. You can offer more money for a team like Tennessee, who, by the way, reportedly have offered more money than New England by putting a lot of it into a signing bonus, incentives, keeping the cap hit low. If a team has $20 million available in cap space and another team has $15 million available in cap space, the team with $15 million can offer more money. They just have to put more of it into a signing bonus and maybe some incentives and whatnot to keep the cap hit a bit lower. So just because the Patriots have more cap space available doesn't mean that the Tennessee Titans can't match or produce a more lucrative offer than New England. But we've looked at this before, the comparisons and whatnot. So the Titans, a chance to win the AFC South, win the division. The Patriots, if they get to the postseason, it's likely going to be through the wild card spot. Whereas with Tennessee, they could win the division and host a playoff game. And anything can happen if you're playing at home in January. So for me, it feels like, with no bias here, the Tennessee Titans are a more better opportunity for DeAndre Hopkins. Right? I think if you're Hopkins, the name of the game is three things. You want to win this year, probably have a better chance of doing that in the AFC South than playing Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets 6 times this upcoming season. Whereas in Tennessee, you get to play C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson 4 times, okay? You get a better opportunity to pump up your stats, pad the numbers a little bit, and then you get to cash in free agency next year. So if Hopkins wants to win and he wants to get paid in the future and the present, to me, Tennessee makes more sense than New England. But which team do you think has a better recruiting pitch? After going through those 4 reasons for each side, be honest with me. Is it the Titans? Is it the Patriots? Put your own personal bias aside for a moment and let me know which team you think could make a better PowerPoint presentation and win DeAndre Hopkins over. That is it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon, and we'll catch up with everyone later.